War was being fought on land, in Europe, in the forests of Finland. The global conflict that became World War II was, in many ways, a number of small wars that broke out at the same time and aggregated together. One such conflict was that fought between Finland and the Soviet Union. The fighting that broke out at the end of November 1939 was the direct outcome of the Nazi-Soviet pact, in which Stalin demanded Finland become part of Russia's sphere of influence. The fighting was a result of Finland's rejection of Stalin's demands that their shared frontier be moved further into Finland and that Finnish islands be given to the Soviet Union. The Russians feared invasion and wanted to push their borders further west, as they had done in Poland. Stalin was prepared to offer compromise, but the Finns saw the USSR as an implacable enemy and believed that concession would only bring further Soviet demands. Russian forces attacked across the whole length of the border. The Soviet Union mounted a full invasion of Finland. The Russian soldiers were told that Finnish workers would rise to welcome them as liberators from capitalism. The Finnish army was small and poorly equipped in nearly every aspect. However, its troops had been intensively trained to operate in their native forest terrain, to operate in the dense woods of summer and the depths of winter snows. What's more, the Finnish soldiers were motivated by a fierce and determined patriotism. The Russians outnumbered the Finns by more than 150%. Their imagined easy advance ended in stalemate. The Finns absorbed and repulsed repeated attacks, and the Russian superiority in air forces was negated by the short Arctic winter day and poor weather. The Russian tanks were negated by a simple, improvised weapon, the Molotov cocktail, a bottle filled with gasoline and tar, which was thrown into tank engines, setting them on fire. The communist tactics were naive, separating their tanks from their infantry. The Russian armor was hunted down amongst the forests by Finnish infantry on skis. The Russians attempted to swamp the Finns by weight of numbers, using crude human wave mass attacks. The result was massacre by machine gun fire. Throughout the Finnish War and the early stages of the eventual conflict with Nazi Germany, Soviet forces would be severely weakened by the butchery of Soviet high command in Stalin's purges. The communist dictator destroyed the leadership of his army through a paranoid fear of plots and planned coup d'etat. Incredibly, the Russian forces had no white winter camouflage or winter survival skills and simply froze to death through the absence of winter clothing. Finland appealed to the League of Nations. In its last major intervention in world affairs, the League proved as impotent as ever to prevent the war. The USSR was expelled from the League, and all member states urged to support the Finns. With Germany supporting the Soviet Union, such help the world could give Finland had to pass through Norway. So tortuous was this route, the Finns had to fight alone and unaided. As 1939 passed into 1940, the Finns turned to the counterattack and won a series of stunning victories against the Soviets. Whole divisions of communist infantry surrendered, and vast numbers of heavy weapons were captured and turned on the Russians. The Finnish successes brought the Russians to the negotiating table. They also made the Finns believe that ultimate victory was possible, and led them to push for a hard bargain with the Soviet Union. These tactical successes were a distracting illusion from the true strategic position that Finland would, in the long run, be crushed by the sheer weight of her larger neighbor. Finland was falsely encouraged by a British and French plan to aid Finland. In reality, this was a plan to seize neighboring neutral Sweden's iron ore deposits. The Finns judged that it was not a serious offer that Britain and France would really carry through. In the time being, as the negotiations persisted, the Soviet army reorganized and mounted new, heavier attacks. The Finnish army could take no more, and in the end crumbled. Early in March 1940, the Finns signed an armistice with the Soviets in Moscow. The USSR could have pushed on to total victory and occupied the whole of Finland, installing a puppet communist government. Yet they did not. They accepted territory, more than they originally demanded, but still leaving Finland's democratic institutions and the bulk of her territory intact. It may be that the Soviet Union wished to avoid war with Britain and France, and wished for freedom to negotiate in the new Europe. In fighting Finland, the Soviet Union lost more than 200,000 men to the Finns' 25,000. The Red Army lost credibility, and its final success was ignored by the world. The war drove Finland, a democratic nation, a natural ally of Britain and France, into the arms of Hitler. As soon as the peace between Russia and Finland was concluded, secret approaches were made by the Nazis, who saw Finland to be an ally in the coming final conflict, a war of destiny to destroy Soviet communism. Germany supplied Finland with new modern equipment, and the Finns rebuilt a modern army and planned for revenge against Russia.